What's next for Tyler Bate? And in the main event, we finally have Noam Dar get his hands on that asshole Trent Seven. Evan, raise your beverage.
Oh, you already know, man. I got some water. We're about to keep it chill up in here. No DQ. NXT UK Tea Party is going down. Let's go.
This is an NXT party.
Support, no DQ.
Welcome everybody to the NXT party for episode number 62 of NXT UK. I'm your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined tonight by Evan King Francis. How are you doing, Evan?
Yes, I am psyched to be here. Thank you guys for having me, man. Let me just go ahead and give it to them the cold open for myself, the solo man, Richmond's first and finest pro wrestler. Bay Area, you already know who it is. The main player, the hater slayer, the Mac Daddy, the Daddy Mac, the Don Dada, ain't none hotter. Richmond's first, Richmond's finest, there are no finer. You can call me your highness, King Francis. Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me, brother.
That was awesome. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first actual wrestler that we have had as a guest on the NXT party. Now, granted, it's not Jerry's not here. I had to do this in the evening, not later in the morning when he gets off of work. I got to be asleep by then. And again, Evan has been gracious enough to be our guest tonight. He gets bumped to co-host.
Oh, so, man, it's an honor.
I was trying to get Jeff Meacham on here again to help co-host, but he was unavailable at the last moment, and I'm sure he'll be all right. But this was a fairly brief episode. We only got 3 matches. We did get an in-ring promo by Tyler Bate, and I alluded to that earlier. And it was okay. The main event saw Noam Dar and Trent Seven finally get at each other after a couple of weeks of backstage skits, let's say. And that was kind of the match worth waiting for. But let's see if it was a payout. We start the show with Oliver Carter in his second match in NXT UK, and this week he's facing Ligero. And as soon as I heard the music, I think Ligero's might have been the first music other than Gallus that I knew who it was, just because of that Spanish guitar riff that goes on. Anyway, yeah, Ligero won. I mean, easily, you knew that was coming. Ligero is a pretty big star compared to the debuting Carter, who didn't debut with a win anyway. Who was it? Joseph Connors got that last week. What do you think about the opening match, Evan?
It was a good match. I liked it. It was a good opener. It was a proper opener, like you would say. What you see pretty much with Ligero is what you get. Now, when I seen him originally at the NXT, I think it was the UK title tournament, right? When he first was introduced to WWE TV, correct?
I don't know.
Expected a little.
Jerry and I actually didn't get to watch the tournaments together when we never managed to get together.
It was fantastic. It was a great show. The 2 collections of shows that they did, but when I saw him, you originally when you see a masked guy, and it's probably just a basic assumption, you expect kind of this the high flying lucha action, and I like the fact that he does more of a grounded, aggressive style. Especially, he kind of displayed more of the aggression on this episode against Oliver Carter. I liked a lot more that he's just ground and pound and just going at him.
Less of the flippy spinny shit.
It was good. And, Carter showed me a couple things, too. For his second match, I believe it was in NXT UK, I like that head scissor takedown he did. It looked unique. And his strikes were looking really crisp, too. So he has a good base to, build on. It was good. It was good. Yeah. It was a good showcase for Ligero and his new aggression.
Yeah, I think my only problem with Ligero is those horns that he's got on his mask. It just seems unnecessary. And it works on a video game because when you go to do moves, the arms and bodies and shit just go right through the horns, like no big deal. But in real life, you kind of have to work around that gimmick, I guess. But my only note here is the last 4 moves of the match for Ligero to get the victory. He does a monkey flip into the corner, and then does I call it a spring shot. It's where he goes in the ropes from the apron through the middle and top rope, and then brings his leg over and springs off the bottom rope inside to do that stunner. And I think they eventually called it a cutter, but he definitely landed a stunner off of that. Everybody's landing stunners all of a sudden. I guess it's been 22 and a half years or whatever.
I'm cool with it, but at the same time, I don't want to see it used like a hip toss. You know what I mean? Like the stunner.
Or a super kick. Everybody does a super kick. Everybody.
Exactly. That's what I don't want. I don't want everybody to have their version of a stunner or something like that. That's a little bit too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then he hits that C4L, that springboard, what is it? Tornado DDT?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. And yeah, I mean, Ligero. He at this point, I think he hasn't been on the show so long that he needed this win more than Carter, who has gotten 2 shows in 2 or 3 weeks?
Yep.
So he's new. It's forgivable. He's learning. He can afford a loss. Everybody is a jobber at some point, I'm sure.
Yep, no doubt. There's no doubt about that. Everybody starts at the bottom.
So Walter comes in to play next. I don't know what to call this. It's kind of like a promo, but they say it was earlier in the week. He's at the Performance Center. He just shows up, I guess, and he sees a bunch of guys hanging out ringside, laughing and chatting, and he starts to just berate them, and gets in the ring, and there's a couple of guys sparring off, and he tells them to do some, grapple move, one of those early match moves. I can't remember the name of the move. Anyway, he's like, oh, that's great, here, now grapple me, and instead of grappling him, he just knocks him down with a chop. Just a Paul Bunyan fucking chop. And then I think he pushes or kicks the other dude out of the ring. And then he's like, you're all worthless. You're not worth being here. Go home. Go back to your playgrounds. And he heads to the back. Nobody listened to him, it seemed. They're like, we're not going home. Who are you?
They all stay right where
we're not paying you to teach us. Probably.
Right. I mean, that was cool, too. The thing about it is that I always think about what the direction and the payoff is to whatever angle you're shooting. So where is this going? Exactly.
I'm hoping with Walter this is going towards finding out who his next opponent's going to be for the title, but I guess it depends. Maybe he shows up again and then somebody else shows up and gets in his face about it. And so there we go.
You never know. And you know what's crazy right now? I feel like the title picture is kind of wide open in NXT UK. So we can kind of have an assortment of maybe 3 or 4 different guys who could challenge Walter at this point. That's what I like about wrestling is when you have an assortment of guys who you can think of and say, hey, I can see this guy, challenging for the title. When you only have one guy, it sucks.
I know Jerry's next question would be, so who do you see challenging Walter next? Who is it?
Okay, so my logic, where I would think this is going to play into a little later. I like Jordan Devlin. I like what he's doing right now. I always liked him when I first saw him, and again the UK tournament. He was fantastic. And he's just been cutting it up for months. So I think with what they're doing with the what you were mentioning with the Tyler Bates situation, I think that could be his stepping stone to maybe a match with Walter, world title match with Walter. I think that'd be a barn burner, man. I think it'd be amazing. I think he's the guy that would probably give him a Tyler Bate level match. That would be the next thing I would think.
And later on in the night, he says as much.
Dave Mastiff too to me.
Yeah, I was always thinking Dave Mastiff. For months I've been like, they're building up Mastiff, but then he lost to Coffee at Cardiff.
Yeah.
And I feel like Joe might be the next choice, but he's kind of a heel. So do you do that? I mean, they've done that before, but it's kind of weird when both guys are heels. But everybody's going to cheer for Walter. But do you really want that? Or do you want a babyface that people are going to cheer against Walter for?
Yeah, that's what I would think. I would think unless they continue to do this issue with Coffee and Mastiff and maybe throw Walter in the middle of it and make it a triple threat or something like that, to where you give Mastiff as the face, you know, that the people cheer for, and you have the asshole like Coffee. Nobody likes Coffee, right? And then and Walter too. You know, I think that would be a good dynamic. I think that could work.
Yeah.
So you know that, and when you think about it, who else on the roster right now? Shoot, man, when you think about it, I would think those guys, those three, Devlin, Coffee, and Mastiff, those are the guys to me.
And if you're going to continue this angle where Walter shows up at the Performance Center just to abuse trainees, then, like you said, the door is wide open.
Yeah. And you can have either one of those guys show up.
Yeah.
And carry something out.
And they could be a heel and still get in Walter's face and be like, look, dude, we don't do that.
It's all about the payoff, man. Like, that's, as fans, as wrestling fans, especially as longtime wrestling fans, we understand about investing time. It's not like we all have a short attention span. If something's gonna happen, just let me know. Give me a hole to where I can see the end of this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I need to know it's going somewhere.
And certainly don't start a storyline or start getting me invested in an idea that you're going somewhere and then drop it completely and we never hear about it later.
Absolutely not.
Those
I
are the
can't
worst.
stand that. I cannot stand that. That's why I really gravitate towards NXT UK, because it's really story driven, and even if the storylines aren't super long term, they work. You know, they don't insult our intelligence. They make it it's much more sports based, and that's why I like it. It's simple. The wins and losses, they matter. You know.
That's why I was worried about Mastiff, though, is because his last match was a loss. You could build him back up again, but even still, if he tries to go for the championship, Joe Coffey can make a claim that it should be him.
Yeah.
And I would agree.
That's where they go with it, though.
Well, maybe, and that's how you make it a triple threat.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and here's the thing: maybe in the next couple weeks, we don't know where anything's going yet. So we're just fantasy booking and talking here.
Right.
But maybe in the next couple of weeks, they have this issue with Bate and Devlin. Maybe Devlin goes over and he has a legit claim to get in this Walter thing. Maybe they can make it a fatal four-way. They have some options.
Yeah, I think it would be the first fatal four-way singles match in NXT UK.
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad at it either. I think that'd be an excellent match. You could tie a lot of different threads together in one and get a great match out of it at the next takeover, maybe, or whatnot.
Well, next takeover is War Games, and if I get it my way, we're going to see Imperium versus Undisputed Era in a War Games match. So that would leave Walter tied up. So it would have to be on NXT UK television, but still, it would be an awesome match. Speaking of NXT UK television, the next note here is an announcement that NXT UK is moving to Thursday nights, following NXT going live on, Wednesday. So
it was bound to happen.
That works for us because we always watch and record on Thursday night / Friday morning anyway, so our shows won't be 2 days late anymore. They'll just be a day late. So I think that's awesome. Awesome news. I also think it's awesome because it's basically confirming that we are keeping NXT UK, and even though they're going to be using some of the talent on NXT to fill the 2 hours of the live show, we are still going to have a separate product.
Yeah.
And to me, that's good for two reasons. One, there is not enough room on the NXT roster for all of NXT UK's roster. And two, NXT UK films in the UK, and they have those crowds that know who these guys are and will react appropriately. I'm just saying. Anyway,
You know what? You know what the thing is about it too. I think that NXT UK has given me exposure to what you were just alluding to, which was like that crowd, that feel, everything about it that just separates it even from NXT, the base NXT.
yeah.
I just love it. I enjoy watching the show just to see how the fans react to certain things, man, because they're always passionate about it.
Sometimes they're over the
helps
top.
with the wrestler.
Sometimes they're over the top.
Yeah,
They
I
can get
agree with
annoying.
that too.
They can get annoying, but for the most part, it's like fans that are willing to take their shoes off and hold them in the air because they hate a guy so much is just brilliant.
Yeah, most definitely. It's just about the passion of it, you know?
Support, no DQ.
So next we have Tyler Bate come out, and he is clearly not dressed to wrestle, as I can tell by the flip-flops on his feet. The fact that I can see his toes, I know he's not coming out for a match. So, yeah, he gets to the ring, he grabs a mic, and I don't know what he thought anybody was expecting out of him, but it's like people thought he was going to be moving on, like going somewhere else, but no, he's still there to fight, and instead of getting anything of substance out, we got Jordan Devlin interrupt him. And this is what you were talking about earlier. And he comes out and he says, you know, that match that he had, that 45 fucking minute match, was just great. Like, it blew everybody away, but it did not impress Jordan Devlin because he knows, as everybody and Tyler Bate should know, that Jordan Devlin would have had a better match and would have walked out of Cardiff with the NXT UK Championship.
Yeah. Playing the heel.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe this is how he gets his shot at the title, by beating the previous contender. But either way, I'm cool with this match. These dudes are going to tear the house down. Because these are the two dudes that I'd like to say, with Jordan Devlin, I love to hate him. And with Tyler Bate, I hate to love him.
I can see where you're going.
He's one of those baby faces. It's like, it reminds me of John Cena and shit, where I hate to love him. But he's so good, I can't help it.
Oh, you know, that's why I'm sold on this already, on this program. Because we already know we're going to get a crazy match out of it, and probably a good couple months of TV out of this thing. Jordan Devlin, to me, is the number one contender in my mind going forward, just because when I saw the match he had with Walter not too long ago, a couple months ago, I was like, oh man, they could tear it. Just imagine with the title on the line and all that stuff, just going at it at a takeover or something like that. Jordan Devlin would take him to the limit. Maybe possibly beat him in the right situation. I like Jordan Devlin a lot. Like I said, from the UK title tournament, because that was my first exposure to some of these guys. Some, you know, of course, you learn about and you know about overall in the grand landscape of wrestling, right? But some guys you get exposed to in tournaments and stuff like that. Jordan Devlin, I've been a fan of since the UK tournament, man. He's fantastic. And he's fantastic in the ring, and he's great on the mic, too. He gets his point across. And I think in the match that they eventually have, he's going to beat Tyler Bate. I think that's going to be his stepping stone into a title match against Walter.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that makes sense. Because at this point, my only problem with Jordan Devlin being in the UK title picture is that his losses are significant. He lost to Walter. And he had a shot at the title previously with Pete Dunne and lost that match. So he's had both an opportunity at the title and an opportunity at Walter and failed. If he beats Tyler Bate, he has an issue. You know, he
has a legitimate claim that because then he would have beaten the guy who was the first UK champ in the first place.
And the previous contender, the guy that took Walter for 45 minutes.
Facts.
So if he
if
he backs up what he said in this promo, then put him in that match too.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you want to get them all out of the way in one fatal four-way match, or spread that out amongst a few months and wait for the next Cardiff before you have a big. But who could it be? I feel like the only thing that makes sense would be for Drew McIntyre to come and join Joe Coffey, Mark, and Wolfgang and become a member of Gallus. And he would be the guy to take the title from Walter at the next next takeover.
Hey man, you never know, and that's the crazy thing, especially with Drew being gone right now. I believe he has an injury that he's recovering from. He can come back in any way, shape, or form right now because it's so open in the WWE landscape. People are popping up everywhere, so you never know. This guy could show up there, and it would make sense too. It would make absolute sense for him to show up there. That would be awesome.
Because
I wouldn't be mad at it.
It's going to require another 4-person faction, another 4-person team to come in and face all of Imperium. And who better to come in and take a title off of a man as big as Walter than a man that's not only bigger, but he looks like a fucking animal. Like, he's very well defined. He's cut. Like, Walter, I don't know if he's genetically capable of looking that cut, but if he was, could you imagine if Walter was as cut as, oh man, that would be, anyway.
Oh,
Walter's fine for what he is.
Imagine the chops. The chops would be, oh.
If you're going to stand a man across from him and say, this is the guy that's going to take the title, I really believe you when you say it's Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. I can see that. See, that's the thing. That's the problem they're going to have with taking the title off Walter. Is it's going to have to be somebody believable. Like the match with Pete Dunne, based on everything he did and all the people that he beat, if he would have beat Walter, I would have been fine with it. I would have been fine with it because it was believable just based on what Pete Dunne has accomplished. If you put his resume up against any other person on the NXT UK roster, it's not really believable like that. So they have to have somebody who's going to make it believable. Drew McIntyre, that's believable. You know, that's believable. I feel like they could build, like you were saying earlier, maybe they could build Dave Mastiff back up to a certain point after the Coffey loss and make it to a point where that can be believable down the line. But if you're looking at the whole roster, there's only a couple of guys that are believable to beat.
I think Mastiff and Joe Coffey are the only two.
Yeah. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And you can have the Gallus Imperium thing and, like you said, have that play off of each other and maybe add, Drew as that fourth guy, and that could get the title off Walter and onto either McIntyre or Coffey. You can't lose either way. But
I think Coffey gets a shot at the title and fails, and so the only thing left to do is find somebody that can beat Walter. And telling you, Drew McIntyre is very credible.
Yeah, nobody's beating Walter right now, though. That's the thing to take away from all this. That Tyler Bate match was fantastic, but that just showed nobody's beating him. Not right now.
Yeah. So after Tyler Bate threatens Devlin and then gets out of the ring and chases him, Devlin retreats because he's at heel. And I mean, I don't know. I kind of was hoping that he'd at least stand his ground, and maybe they'd exchange words without breaking into a brawl. But then like refs run out or something and break them up before it can turn into fisticuffs.
Yeah.
They
usually go for the typical heel runaway thing.
Yeah, but Devlin he's not a coward though, right? Like, I haven't seen him to be a coward yet. This is probably the first time he's cut and run like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. And I was just about to say that before you brought up the point, is that Devlin doesn't even come off as that kind of guy. I've seen him go against bigger guys, talk trash to him, and beat him. So for me, him running away against Tyler Bate didn't kind of fit the character as it's been presented to us lately. So you're right about that. I absolutely agree.
So after that, we've got a video promo for Tegan Knox, and she's talking about both her in the crowd debut at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, and how she didn't expect to be recognized. Apparently, she was recognized by crowd members as opposed to just being on the Tron. Right. And then she talked about her debut, return / NXT UK debut. Was it last week or the week before or something like that? And again, this is just reminding us that she's still alive. And I guess she's going to... Well, they showed some of her surgery photos and shit, and she talked about, her rehab and coming back to the ring and how devastating it was to be in the quarterfinals of the Mae Young Classic and to get that kind of injury. Who knows? She might have been, set to go over or maybe even win.
Yep.
I think Michael Cole had said that was his pick to win the entire thing.
Yeah. She was going deep in the tournament, no doubt.
But we are going to see, I believe, next week, Kaylee Ray versus Tegan Nox. That will be her next match, and sure, why not? But again, I just imagine Kaylee Ray is going to get in the ring, kick one or the other knee out from under Tegan Nox, and then work her over and win.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it. And, the thing, it's funny to me that this is going to be like one of her first matches is actually against Kaylee Ray, because I would have actually kept her as far away from the champ as possible, built her up a lot, gave her some wins, and let her come as an underdog against Kaylee Ray in a title match later on. I wouldn't have probably piped this in, because either way, this is getting dialed in next week. Personally, Tegan Nox, to me, has a shot at telling a really good story over the next 6 months to a year about coming back, persevering, getting some good wins over some big names, because the women's division is stacked right now. So there's some credible talent over there for her to get some wins over. So if they build her up correctly, Tegan can do some really good things in the women's division, possibly, hold the title a little down the line. I like her. And I want to say one thing and bring up a good point. It's crazy how a lot of these guys that are on NXT UK and the girls too started out in these tournaments and stuff. You know what I mean? And that just shows how good and how well WWE actually did that. That's one of the few things I watched a lot of that WWE, and that's one of the things they consistently do good. Even this King of the Ring that just passed was good. So, them introducing the talent like this, getting us familiar with them, great strategy. Kudos to them. And hopefully Tegan can impress us and stay healthy. That's the big part about it, is staying healthy.
Well, the Cruiserweight Classic was the first tournament, and that bred a whole division, a whole show, 205 Live. Yeah. And I don't think they used everybody that was in the Classic, but the Mae Young Classic, they have pulled a lot of the women that they got from those two tournaments. So, yeah, kudos to them, but, I mean, it was inevitable. It was basically an on-stage tryout for a lot of these girls.
Yeah.
And it was inevitable that some of them would get performance center evaluations and offers to do NXT or NXT UK or a number of different other countries that they're proposing to do, so that they can have this local-based talent from all over the globe. I'm wondering what's next. I feel like it should be NXT Australia.
I agree. I was just about to say either Australia or Japan is probably the next thing they're going to do.
That's a good one.
I had a theory, though. Tell me if you agree with this. Now, at the Mae Young that passed, the last one, Tegan had got injured against Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
I had Tegan going over Rhea before the injury had happened. So I was thinking that she might have been a finalist or a winner, like you had said. And when she had got injured, it just flipped everything on its head. Rhea wound up, I think, going out to Mako in the next round anyway. But I think that, it just flipped everything on its head to a point. So I think she might have been meeting Toni Storm or Mako, depending on what bracket she was in. I don't remember the bracket, but I think she might have gotten to the finals.
Maybe. So speaking of the women's roster, our token women's match, we've got Nina Samuels versus, I believe this was her second match, Dani Luna, who's from Cardiff. Yeah. She's a Whaler. I don't know how you... She's Welsh. There you go.
Welsh.
And
she's a Whaler.
my note about Dani Luna is she basically looks like if Pete Dunne was a woman with blue hair.
So they used to say that about Ripley, man.
Oh man, Ripley is to me. Ripley looks like what I imagine a goddess looks like.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of, mostly. Yeah. I love Ripley, but this was an okay match. It was longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be an out-and-out squash, but Luna got some offense in. She hit this pump kick and then tried to do a deadlift, like from Nina Samuels on her knees, a deadlift vertical, and ended up hitting a brain buster, basically. And even Nigel commented that was a little bit of a hard landing.
Yeah.
Got a near fall.
It was nasty, wasn't it? It was nasty. Nasty landing.
Yeah, she gets offense for a little while, but then Nina catches her. She's reaching for Nina on the apron through the ropes, and so she pulls her across the rope. And who didn't see that coming? And then hits this slingshot corkscrew splash for a near fall, which was pretty cool. I don't think we've seen this out of her. And she's got a new finisher. She does a fisherman's, it's an inverted swinging DDT. And they called it the final act, but then later called it the curtain call. And essentially, yeah, it's basically a curtain call. But she's going to call it the final act. She gets the 1, 2, 3, and I figured as much. Did you see Luna even possibly winning this match?
No, I didn't see her winning the match. I actually was on the kind of line of thinking where you were, where it was going to just be a squash match, and Nina was just going to get another showcase out of it. But she surprised me. Had some nice little crisp offense out there. She looked good, and that kind of maybe tells me that they have plans for her. Maybe they're going to let her develop a little bit. Like you said, everybody kind of starts out at the bottom at some point. So maybe build her up, and as she goes, become a star. Nina Samuels, on the other hand, when I watch the matches, because like you said, she looks great. But when I watch the matches, it just shows me how deep the women's division is in NXT UK, because it wasn't really that impressive. Like you kind of said, it was kind of par of the course, right? If you've seen that kind of Nina Samuels match, you've seen pretty much all of them.
Yeah, basically.
So,
except for the two new moves, the new signature and the new finisher, which are fine, but they are not exclusive. Like she didn't just come up with a new one; she just took somebody else's.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like I wasn't impressed watching NXT this week with Dakota Kai's finisher, but at the very least, she took a GTS and added a kick instead of a knee.
Yeah.
The very least, it's not a copy.
It wasn't like the most impressive thing, but you could tell that she put a little bit of her own creativity into it.
I wonder though, because of the faux pas of calling it by its original name after you called it by the name she called it. She just took the curtain call because it sounds like something that would go with her actress gimmick, and then renamed it, and now she just does it. Instead of taking a move that you want to do as your finisher and renaming it the final act.
Yeah, that just kind of shows you where I'm at with it, because where Nina Samuels is in the grand scheme of things in the division, to me, she's right in the middle of the pack. So you have, to me, your front runners who are basically Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley, Jenny, Kaylee Ray. Then you could throw Piper Niven in there too. And then the rest kind of fall at the wayside there. And then the B players, to me right now as they stand, kind of like Xia Brookside, girls like that.
Isla Dawn.
Nina Samuels. Yeah, girls like that.
Nina Samuels is like at the top of the mid card.
Agreed. And so she's on the verge, but she needs a couple more things to break out into that main event picture.
Well, again, she had her title opportunity against Toni Storm, and she failed.
Yeah.
But
the underwhelming match. It wasn't that great of a match to me either.
Maybe the women's division is deep enough that they need a women's mid card title, and that would be a shame though to get that before you get a men's mid card title, because I believe that's where Jordan Devlin is best suited as the mid card champion.
Oh, we have a big agreement on that. They need to bring back that European Championship and put it on NXT UK television.
There you go, folks. It's not an original idea. Everybody agrees it needs to be the European Championship. And fuck it. Either go ahead and start calling the United Kingdom Championship the NXT UK title, or this is an opportunity to bring in the European Championship, and again, you can call it the WWE European Championship, because that's what it is. You can bring the lineage with it, or you can rebrand it NXT. Go ahead and rebrand the UK title NXT.
I agree, man.
And
it's too much talent. It's too much talent in NXT and in NXT UK for you not to have a secondary title.
Absolutely.
I can't even consider you a promotion that's taken serious right now with no secondary title, because what that's doing, you're diminishing your whole undercard. You might as well just do nothing with your undercard.
Now, somebody made the argument, I think last week, that NXT, the original brand, didn't have a mid-card title for the longest time, and I'm like, doesn't make it right.
Right.
They figured it out eventually. Now, don't take too long for NXT UK. I mean, they knew they needed tag titles. They knew they needed a women's title. Well, fuck, you need a mid-card title too. If you want to have a roster deep enough that your main card is not going to be overwhelmed by everybody, then you need to have a mid-card title.
Oh, yeah. And you know, to your point, what you were saying about NXT, when they had just the NXT title, great show either way it went. But that talent that wasn't hitting at the main event level, it suffered. So they were just having matches, but what were they having matches for?
Nothing.
You know? So you have to have that secondary title, because like you said, guys like Jordan Devlin, guys like Ligero, guys like Noam Dar, guys like that who might not be right at the cusp of the UK title, they have something to fight for, man.
Absolutely.
You know, it would just bolster the division.
Now, speaking of the mid-card division, women's mid-card next week, Isla Dawn versus Piper Niven. And Piper Niven's going to win that match, guaranteed.
Yeah, she has to. She has to.
It's just the size difference alone is like, it's like Vader going in against a jobber, basically.
Yeah, and you know, Isla Dawn, to me, she had potential when she first started, but she's lost. Like what you were saying about a couple other guys a while earlier, your losses have been too significant. So when I see you go against somebody of rapport like Piper Niven or anybody like that, I automatically don't think you're going to win anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you've lost so many times.
Well, my frustration with Isla Dawn is that she's written as a babyface, but everything about her screams heel. And it's confusing as hell. She's got great heel everything, but they won't let her be a heel. And I'm like, I don't understand this. Just let her be a heel. Even her ring style and her moveset is heel. It's like she doesn't know what to do in the ring because she's used to doing all these wear down holds and take up time that makes the crowd boo so that the babyface can get back into the match and make the crowd cheer. But she's the babyface. So it's that's my only problem with Isla Dawn. And I think once she turns heel, she might have a main or not main card, but a main event run. I don't think she's had a title opportunity yet.
I don't think so. But you know, I've never seen her really run. I've never seen her get into like that second gear. You know what I mean? I feel like she's always on cruise control with hers. And I could tell, like, with her strikes, because I think she was training with Aleister Black in the beginning. So, you know, I know her strikes are proficient. I know all that. I'd love to see her, like you said, be a little more aggressive. Maybe them declare her as a heel and let her get a little more down and dirty with it, man. Because I can see the potential in the gimmick and in her skills. But it's like she's just in first gear the whole time. So,
I agree.
You know, but with these other ladies firing all cylinders right now, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving.
Yeah. So in the spirit of keeping moving, we are on to the main event. We've got Noam Dar versus Trent Seven. This started a couple weeks ago when Noam Dar had his press conference just to announce that he is the best. And Trent Seven was in the background being a dick. just
Right.
being a dick. He's on the phone during his fellow superstars like set. Like this is his time, and
Yeah.
and then the ultimate douche move. He's got his entrance music as his ringtone.
That is douchey, bro. That is douchey. I can't lie.
Now, if I could have my entrance music be my ringtone, I would love that. My ringtone is the theme song from the Mortal Kombat movie.
See, man.
Trademark wise, if I could get away with using that as an entrance, like totally, that would be awesome. But no, he's got his entrance music as his ringtone. Anyway, that was a couple weeks ago. Last week, Noam Dar responds by like just kind of sideswiping him in the parking lot with a bullhorn, and he's just like talking smack. And I mean, he's kind of being a dick, but in this case, it's justified.
Right.
But this was building towards a match, and we're going to get it on the main event. Before I break down my like 2 notes here for this must have been a 10-minute match. What were your thoughts on the main event?
Noam Dar is a star in the making, man. He's young as hell, and he's got time to develop. But Noam Dar, that guy is special. I like him a lot. I wasn't too keen on him in the beginning when he was doing the NXT UK, the UK tournament, I believe it was. I wasn't too keen on him then. But I'm sold on him through his time through 205, through his time through a few other places, man. I'm sold on him. Trent Seven, there's nothing to be said about him. He was great. So when you put these 2 guys together, you already know you're going to have a great match. I thought it was an excellent match, man. Just the technical mastery of it. And then, you know what's crazy? They told a story, but then at the same time, they got down and dirty with it at times, too. I like the fact that Trent Seven is starting to show a little bit more edge, because you see him and Tyler Bate, Mustache Mountain, nice guys, you know, quintessential baby faces, but they got some edge on them, man. And I like Trent Seven's offense. He's power based, and he's straight nasty with it. He throws those hands. I like him a lot. I like the match. I like the crazy part about it is this is going to lead to something else now. You know it.
Yeah. So the story here is the couple of promos that we got the last few weeks building to this being like a grudge match. And my feeling is the way that it ended, I don't think there was enough of a grudge for it to be like that. Like,
yeah.
Like, honestly, the first promo made Trent Seven look like a heel. And then even though the second promo made Noam Dar look like a heel too, it was justified. So the fact that Trent Seven got himself disqualified because he was so pissed off, I'm like, what in this match made you... Because it's basically this match to get you from a bullhorn just annoying you to just not laying off in the ropes for a 5 count. Like, he had Noam Dar like in between the ring and the apron, and he's reaching through the ropes and just laying in fists. And I saw this coming. I knew the ref was going to get to 5 and disqualify him, because there was a point where he was laying in fists in the corner and got a 4 count out of it and just barely didn't get disqualified because the ref, instead of saying 5, pushed him away and managed to break it up.
Right.
So there was a little bit of a story here, and for that I'll give it better than middle of the road. But other than that, I thought this was middle of the road. And as great as Noam Dar is, for me, that's middle of the road. He is typically really creative and good at telling a story, again, physically, with his body in the ring. Yeah, he is something special. It's just, with a guy the size of Trent Seven, he can't do the kind of match that offensively makes him look special.
Yeah, I agree with that part.
The only thing he really has is that Nova roller, because it's just a kick. You know, he runs in for a kick. But other than that, like, Trent Seven's not the guy. This is the one that makes Trent Seven look like he's on the warpath. I just don't feel like they told a story that is conclusive of him doing that. Like, it doesn't conclude that way anyway. So for that, I'm just going to give this, let's say, a 3. Or, well, we're not rating it. Oh, by the way, that brings us to the end of the main event, ladies and gentlemen. Side glance. Yeah, here on the NXT party, we like to rate the main event using good old-fashioned NXT. And out of 5 spots of NXT, I guess I've already given my rating. Normally you'd go first, but how many spots of T do you rate this match?
I'll go kind of where you were going with it. It wasn't the greatest match or main event, for NXT UK. It was good for what it was. Both guys got their stuff in, and I'm assuming that this is going to go somewhere. Maybe they pick up and do a couple segments in the over the next couple weeks or something. Let's see where it goes. But for now, I'm going with you. I'm gonna take 3. That's fine. 3 spots.
3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad considering that's basically what we gave the main events for the last 2 weeks of NXT, because it's 2 shows each week, essentially, 1 on USA, 1 on the network, and so we've rated both, and it's basically been like 3s across the board. So that's not bad for this match, I guess, because those weren't terrible matches. They just, well, anyway. That brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT Party. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Evan. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Evan King Francis. Where can we find you on social media?
Okay. Check me out, guys. You guys can go ahead and check me out. Go to Work Fitness on Instagram. Go to Work Fitness on YouTube. Evan LG Francis on Facebook. Check me out, man. I'm always doing something beyond just the wrestling stuff. Fitness, health, all that good stuff, man. We're in the biz. BTW, Big Time Wrestling, going down Bay Area, North Bay. We got a couple shows coming out. Come see us, man. Come see us.
Well, again, thank you for being on the show. And if you would like to be on a future episode of the NXT Party, come have a spot of NXT with us. Hopefully Jerry will be here for that. Shout out to Jerry. You can find me on Twitter.
Jerry, man.
You can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find my usual co-host, Jerry the General Slaughter, on Twitter. It's at NoDQGeneral. And find us both on Facebook with his group Armbar, all caps, ARMBAR, ! And that's how you add us on Facebook. Don't add us as friends, because it's spoiler free zone, so we don't add you. I will add you, Francis, though. I realize that should happen, and we got to get Francis in the NXT group. And
be in there, bro. Get me in there.
Yep. New member alert. So come be a new member. If you don't have Twitter, Facebook, you can leave a comment down below with your email address, and we'll shoot you an email. That's how we got Chris Mason in the group. Or you can find me on Instagram now at osborne.stefan. I have no content, but 50-some subscribers, and I think it'd be hilarious to get to 100 with just a profile pic. Just triple digit with a profile pic for no good goddamn reason.
Make it happen.
Other than that, if you like this video, click the like button that's over here underneath me. And if you like all of our videos, do us a favor, do yourself a favor, click the subscribe button that's over there underneath Evan, somewhere underneath that title. This title. Oh, it's
somewhere here.
Somewhere. That title.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, subscribe on NoDQ, and that's where you can click the bell icon. It'll let you know when we go live for What's NXT. That's our NXT review. We do that live now because we have 100+ subscribers on Aftermatch. That is our channel. You can get this show, the NXT Party, first and in HD on that channel. So come find us there. It's all one word, AFTERMATCH, Aftermatch Wrestling. And help us get to 1,000, because at 1,000 subscribers, we're going to start doing this show live on Aftermatch. So that'll be cool. And nice. Also, there's a drawing. If you share this with anybody, just screenshot it, send me a DM, and I will put you in the pool for a Clue board game. Yeah, if we get to 1,000, somebody wins a board game. I'll ship it to you for free and everything. Just whatever.
Right.
I think that's all the plugs. Awesome.
There you go.
So for the King, Evan Francis, I am the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne. Thank you for having a spot of NXT with us, and we will see you in NXT time.
Thank you.
Gotta throw the pin for Jerry.